Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Let's get seated if you can. We're here to talk about intelligence, and this is something I introduced on the main stage this morning for those of you who were able to attend our keynote. We're going to dive a little bit deeper into kind of the product itself, something we're super excited to preview to you guys. As Tom mentioned this morning, it's going to be available in early 2020. And just to reintroduce myself, my name is Liz Ronco. I'm in product management here at Spiceworks, and I'm super excited to be up here with you guys this morning. And I'm also going to be joined by Natalie Durgan, who is one of our lead data scientists, who is really helping us form and build and optimize the models that are powering both our intent as well as how we build that up into intelligence. And at the end of the session, we will do a quick Q&A, give you guys a chance to ask questions as you have them. But first, I have a couple questions for you. How often do your teams receive a proactive sales call from a buyer? How about when does that buyer communicate the exact pain point that's driving them to buy? Probably not very often. I'm seeing some pretty blank stares. And then how many buyers that you engage with are actually sharing the other vendors that they're evaluating at the same time they're looking at your technology? Yeah, I see a couple laughs over there. I'm not surprised. And if anyone says yes to either any three of these up here, I'd like you to raise your hand and stand up. We'd all like to come talk to you. I'd like to know your secrets. Because I'm pretty sure if anyone did this, maybe we have a few loyal clients who we have good relationships with, we're able to share this type of collaboration. But if a prospect did this, which you had no relationship with, I think I'd go buy a lotto ticket, because I'm pretty sure I'd be counting my lucky stars. And that's because the facts about tech buying is that there's an explosion of digital content. Right? We have editorial articles from experts that know what they're talking about, can push the information out to those people that are making the decisions. We have communities like Spiceworks and peer-to-peer review sites and product review sites, all giving this information out to potential buyers before they even have to come engage with a salesperson or a vendor. And because of this information is all out there and is available to everyone, we have more people looking at it, right? We have the finance guy who's writing the check. The IT pro who's making the decision is going to be the final stamp of approval. And we have the business leader who's making sure it's going to meet the needs of the users that they want to support. And it's also really hard to unseat the status quo, even if you're unseating yourself. We talked a lot about this morning how the need to upgrade out-of-date technology is still the number one concern that most IT professionals are dealing with. And that's because there's a lot of unknowns that come with upgrading technology. There's a lot of unknowns that comes with retraining your users, making sure it's going to be compatible. And what are those migration costs? And because of all that, there's pain experienced on the seller side, on the marketer side. You get less interaction from buyers up front, and due to that, you have lack of insight. Right? The clip at which technology is innovating is getting faster and faster every day. So you may be a marketed buyer, you may be just interested on what's new and what's coming out, and you want to be aware of how it might help you in the future. So it's hard to determine, hey, is someone researching and engaging because they're ready to buy, or are they just keeping up with the latest and greatest information out there? And what's the right message? So if they are ready to buy, why are they buying? Is it because they're having usability issues with their current solution? Is it because they're just looking for new tech and they have a new business problem? Or are they experiencing performance issues? All of those are very different conversations when you go and engage with a buyer. And finally, fading results. Because of the two factors we've just talked about, it's better just to go wider, right? That's what the standard terminology and thought process is. Hey, if I just talk to everyone who's potentially engaging with this type of content, I'll get more back. That's turning out not to be true. More and more is going out, and less is coming back in. And we're serious when we say, hey, we want to reduce the noise and the friction between buying technology. And that doesn't just mean for the IT pros who are making decisions in their business, but it means for all of you who are trying to market and sell that technology. It's not fun emailing someone who doesn't respond to you, and it's not fun calling someone who doesn't want to talk to you. And since day one, we've been helping businesses and brands connect. A lot of that's been done through advertising. We've been making that advertising more intelligent and more relevant for our users so your message gets across and it really lands and it drives those conversions you're looking for. But this next chapter, we want to expand that. We know that marketing and sales are coming closer together to really drive revenue because that's what we all want at the end of the day. So let's make sure that we can help both marketing and sales mobilize our data to help you in your conversations, not only when you're making sure they're aware of your product, but making sure they're actually going to buy it. And the solution to all of this is called Spiceworks Account Intelligence. And this is something that will sit within our control center that we talked about this morning, and something we'll dive in here with for the rest of the session. And account intelligence is going to provide you three key things. It's those trusted insights. We talk about the insights that we give to our IT professionals to make sure that they make those right decisions. Those are the same insights feeding back to you. How are they engaging? What do you need to know about them? And it's all based on what they're actually doing and saying, not just what they're reading. Business level intelligence. Contacts, contacts, contacts. Everyone tells me they need better contacts. I think everyone in this room has more contacts than they can manage. What you guys need is the context. And the context comes from understanding what that business needs and what the pain point is they're trying to solve, because pain drives us to buy. And pain can be a good thing, right? If we discovered a new need, we're going to innovate, we're going to make ourselves more efficient. You guys need to be aware of that when you're talking to your buyers. And simplified access, right? Let's make this easy to understand. Let's make sure, there's a lot of complexity that goes behind pulling up intent, making sure they actually are in market. So when you guys consume and look at this dashboard, it's going to be easy for you to understand and take away what's pain point and what's driving them to buy, and what are the other things that they're looking at. And we'll get into kind of a little bit of a demo later, but these are some of the key features that you'll see within our product. Account ranking. So straight out the gate, we show you, hey, this is the list of accounts that you should be focused on based on the technology you're trying to buy or market. Purchase intent strength. It's all based on intent, right? We need to understand, are they actually in market? And from there, what is their intent signal? How in market are they? Or are they on the lower end of the scale, or are they really looking that they're going to buy maybe yesterday? And competitive interest. Again, it's really hard. It's hard to unseat the status quo. That includes yourselves. So you want to know, hey, who are they looking at? Who are they engaging with? Am I on that list? If I'm not on that list, how do I get on that list? And we do all this through our unique first-party data. And I've talked a lot about observing the signals, seeing the signals, but Tom mentioned this before. We have tools and applications that go behind their firewall and scan their network. We look at the help desk tickets that they need and have to support their business. And this is all done through a fact of helping them do their jobs better, but it also enables us to understand what's really making them tick. Just because they go read an editorial article doesn't necessarily mean that that's something that their business is interested in. They may be interested in it as a professional, but we need to make sure that the business needs that they have are being addressed. And so we look at all the data across the space and make sure that we can not only observe and see, but validate that those signals are really going to drive results for all of you. And something that we're very focused on is the buying cycle. And this is a chart here going from kind of an identification of a need all the way through purchase and then even implementation, because we can see beyond that. And while the buying cycle doesn't look as pretty as this in real life, what this is illustrating to you guys is really the fact that we can see and track these signals. And Natalie's going to get up here in a minute and talk about what is the difference between someone, just because they compare a product, does that mean they're in market? Not necessarily. There's a whole bunch of factors that go into this. There's a whole cycle of observation that we look at to make sure that we can understand, hey, they're truly on that path to buy a piece of technology. So with that, Natalie's going to get up here, and she's actually going to show you how this all works. So please welcome to the stage. Thanks.
Thanks, Liz. Hi, everyone. I'm a senior data scientist at Spiceworks. My background is in a field of pure mathematics called algebraic geometry. I studied abstract spaces that help mathematicians to organize geometric data. Since starting at Spiceworks 4.5 years ago, I've been able to help bring the abstract down to earth and work on developing and deploying cutting-edge models to help solve myriad exciting business problems. One of the things that really excites me about our data is that we're not just an impersonal content platform. Now, we have a high SEO content platform, but that's expected. We go beyond that with a whole ecosystem of tools and applications that are supported by a community that trusts the Spiceworks brand. We can harness data from these tools and applications and extract insights using sophisticated algorithms, models, and natural language processing. So what does this data look like, and how might it feed into our account intelligence? Well, it might start with a business performing a search on community. Antivirus not updating. Okay, so they're having a little trouble with your antivirus. We don't necessarily know that they're in market. They could still be really happy with their current antivirus solution and just need a little help. Then we see a help desk ticket pop up the next day. Survey antivirus software on laptops. Okay, so now we know that they're thinking at a little bit larger scale about their antivirus, so perhaps they're not still in market. Ooh, next they do an inventory audit. We can see that they have all kinds of different antivirus software they're running on their machines. But still nothing definitive here. Then they post in the community, right? What does this post say? We have a lot of our computers running different antivirus programs, even some free programs. What is the best and most cost-effective antivirus I can buy? What do we think about their intent now? On top of that, they go and read a how-to in the community, how to evaluate antivirus software. And then they read some product reviews. I think they might be ready to connect, right? So as humans, we can look at that business's behavior history and kind of understand that this is going beyond mere antivirus curiosity, right? That they're ready to make a significant decision. But how do we do this at scale? And how can we train an artificial intelligence to do the analysis that we just did when we process this data with our human brains? Well, at Spiceworks, we use something called deep behavioral context modeling. We look at a business's raw behavior sequence over time. So things like running an inventory audit, starting a security learn track in the community, right? Making a help desk ticket. Then we split out all of the natural language surrounding those actions. This is what we call the behavioral context. We feed that context into a deep natural language processing model to help actually understand what they're thinking surrounding their actions. So things like what products and vendors are they talking about or interested in? What are they trying to accomplish? What problems are they actually having? We feed all that contextual understanding into a model to detect purchase intent. And then as a final step, we recombine this contextual information with their raw behavior sequence to produce an intent score for their business. So hopefully that sounds cool enough to be total BS. I don't blame you. As a data scientist, I want to make sure that our intelligence goes beyond just navel gazing. I love navel gazing, but we want to make sure that this is actually providing something meaningful. Remember, bringing the abstract down to earth. So to that end, I want to share with you 3 validation studies we've conducted in parallel to the development of account intelligence that give evidence towards its effectiveness. So the first study I'm going to talk about has to do with pixels. We have conversion pixels placed on certain of our brand partner sites. And what we look for is the business's sequence of behaviors, contexts, and patterns that lead up to a landing page pixel fire on one of these partner sites. For those that have fired a landing page pixel, we look for another pixel fire on a page that corresponds to some kind of conversion action for that brand. And what we see is that those businesses that have registered within one of our intent segments are far more likely to go on to have that conversion pixel fire. So in fact, this study tells us that the conversion rate lift within our intent segments is 2 to 4 times higher than without it. And this is just for marketing message, and it's across very diverse technology types. So the second study has to do with leads. So we work with a third-party lead gen provider to help us qualify and disqualify prospects from within our intent segments. So again, we can look at the sort of intent signals leading up to qualification, and we can start to see some intent patterns emerging. This is helping us sort of shape our understanding of how businesses behave and what actions, and sort of validating what actions are actually indicative of in-market behavior. So the takeaway here is that our intent signals actually have some predictive power related to lead qualification. In the final study I want to share with you, one of our brand partners shared actual purchase data with us. So this was very exciting. And this partner, towards the end of last year, was focused on driving sales qualified leads. So as we look at historical data, we'd expect to see those businesses with high in-segment intent in Q4 of last year to show waning intent in Q1 of this year after deals were closed. As we follow our intent score over this period of time, we can see that our algorithms were able to detect this. So the takeaway here is that our intent score is actually tracking with known purchase behavior. This is very exciting. Okay, so we've looked a little bit about what goes into modeling intent, and we've seen some preliminary evidence that these models are capturing something that is truly leading to productive connections. So now I'll turn it back over to Liz so we can see how this all comes to life within the account intelligence product.
All right, so I'm going to show you the product now. A little sneak peek, inside look. So as I mentioned before, this product sits within our control center, and this is something that houses a myriad of different solutions. The first one we always say is to have a presence within our data, you need to have a presence within Spiceworks. And to have a presence and be top of mind with your buyers, you need to have a presence within Spiceworks. So that's what we start off with products, making sure we can get that information out and leverage you guys a streamlined experience. Analytics for our marketing campaigns, and right smack dab there in the middle is intelligence. And so as you can see, when you come into this, we're logged in. We can see it across the top. There's some of these products, you can see the different tabs up there, but then they're also across the bottom, and each one you can access based on what you're looking at. And actually, there's a teaser right here that'll show you connections, which is the next section. We'll get up and talk a little bit about more of what's coming soon and what's in that area. So what I want to do now is actually want to dive into intelligence. I'm going to show you what's behind that product. And let's make sure that I think it's running here. Here we go. So we'll go into the product, and I said the first thing that you guys will see is this account ranking. So we have access to all the segments within this piece of our product, and so you'll see here it starts off alphabetically with our cloud segment. And if you look down in this drop-down, you can see that there's multiple segments that you can go into depending on what technology you're concerned with. So you may be into database or storage and backup or security. You can kind of toggle between the segments as you need to. And as you go across this screen, each one of these columns, well, it's pretty straightforward. All has help text. Make sure you know what it is. Make sure you know how to interpret it. And then you can customize this list as you need to. So you might be concerned with a specific industry. Maybe you're a rep and you're focused on retail or manufacturing. So making sure you can customize this to where your time is going to be spent. Or on a certain account size. Maybe you're focused on enterprises or SMBs. Maybe you have a very specific employee range that you target. Or intent duration. All of these in-market businesses have shown intent within the last month. That's why they're in here. But you can see that it goes beyond 60, 90, more than that days of intent. And as well here, we're going to actually be working on, as this product comes to life, favoriting, right? We know a lot of our reps and our marketers are focused on specific accounts. So can we have them actually favorite those so they can receive notifications and items like that? So let's kind of toggle between some of these different screens. And you'll see here as we go down to each different segment, the list changes because the intent is changing, right? We're in market for servers. It doesn't necessarily mean we're in market for security, or actually normally does mean we're in market for security because I think we're in market for security all the time. So as we go into security, and I think we'll go down to our storage segment and look there, but you'll see Bob Allen's Food. When we go down to servers, it'll change to another top company, right? Because that's a different intent segment. So let's go into an account and see what's behind some of this purchase prediction. And we'll go into this GDI technology here. So you can see right from the get-go, you get kind of the pedigree information about the business, what's their domain, what kind of industry are they in. If you have a relationship with this account, you can record it here to make sure you get updates on if you have an active sale versus they're not responding. You can remember that. You can also see other end market segments that they have associated to this account. And going across the top here, there's, again, that score, that strength, the trending. So this one has a nice arc upwards. So not all like this. Sometimes they yo-yo. And then you can also see that the vendors that they're interested in. So these are vendors necessarily that they are engaging with and constantly have at the top of their kind of content and activity. So interacting with Dell, Google, items like that. And if you dive deeper into the page, this is where you start seeing what's behind that. So we can see kind of these key intent signals. These guys are engaging in discussions, and they're doing other things. And if we go down to the very bottom, you'll see this is all about new tech. So this one is 100%, they're looking to buy new technology when it comes to servers. Again, that's a very different conversation than going into someone who has performance issues or usability issues. And then because servers can be kind of a wide category, we go deeper into, hey, server, sonic wall, networking, what are those key focus areas within this market space that they are focused on? Because network is maybe a key focus for this account, maybe want to dive into the fact that they're also a market for networking. So we can actually toggle into that other segment and see, hey, what's going on with the networking segment? It's also very high, it's trending upwards. Maybe these are related, right? We want to know, hey, what's the difference between this? So networking, we can see, yeah, new tech's a concern, but they've got a lot of other concerns that are happening. They have performance issues, usability issues. So this might be something that is a factor of not necessarily what they're looking to buy, but a peripheral technology that will impact some of their decisions. And as we look at each one of these, you can kind of toggle and play with this as you want to. You can go back out, look at the full list. And you can always toggle back out to the main page if you want to then go and say you want to update your service product page. You want to make sure that all that information is in the latest and greatest so that company will come in and buy your product. So I know that was a quick view of the new account intelligence solution. We do have it in the hub where you can go kind of play with it directly and maybe toggle into a couple of other companies, spend time looking at some of the data that we have inside of there. And we're also going to be working on more features as this becomes available to market, because we know that not only does this need to be integrated with where all you guys work, but it has to have notifications so that you can know that data is changing. You're not constantly having to check it. So there's a lot of usability features that we're looking to bring along with this to make this experience as easy as we can for you guys. And I think just to conclude, there's 4 things I want you to take away from this. It's powered by tech buyers. And it's powered by Spiceworks, who understands tech buyers and what they need. We know our audience. We respect them, and they trust us. And we're going to continue to maintain that trust. And the first thing we want to do is help both of you reduce the noise and reduce the friction so you guys can all do your jobs. Real time, right? They've purchased. We want that intent to fall off a cliff. We want that company to not be in market anymore. And so we want to make sure that that is reflective of reality. Easy to use, easy to consume. To make sure, well, the data and all the signals may be put together in these complex algorithms that Natalie likes to build and bring to life. It's really simple for all of us to understand, hey, what should I take away with this? And then what should I do with this information? And finally, let's just accelerate sales. Let's bring results, let's bring revenue. That's what we want. And as I mentioned before, the last thing I want you to take away, go to the hub. There's the engineers who built this. I will be there. Natalie will be there. There's a whole bunch of people here who kind of help walk you through this. And if you have any questions, kind of beyond this session to get those answered and make sure you guys take away what you need to about this new solution. All right. I think we'll open it up for questions. Does anyone have any questions?
I know. Thinking about it. Okay. The far left, Krista, I'll get you.
Come on.
I'm not going to be able to answer all of them.
I'll just hide behind it.
What would you say is the predictive accuracy of your model, and which dimensions are you assigning most weight to inside the model?
Sure, those are good questions. So predictive accuracy That's going to have a lot of different answers depending on what we're talking about, right? And this is still just the preliminary version of this model. We only have a few different proxies for actual sort of revenue-generating target data, right? So this is definitely still probably too early to. There's not just one model either, right? This is sort of an ensemble of models. And so I don't know if there's one answer to predictive accuracy. But we do have these encouraging results from these individual studies that we've done so far. But it's definitely going to continue to need to evolve. And in terms of sort of which things, I mean, you know that some of these models are sometimes kind of a black box, right? Like we're not able to say exactly in any given decision about which signals are contributing the most to the intent. So we can talk more about it afterwards, but I don't think that there's an easy way to say, like, it's not just a single set of coefficients that are weighting these things, right?
Yeah, and I think another way to think about it too is buying is not done in a single way, right? If we knew exactly what the steps they were to take, we'd be able to pull that together. It's that combination of signals so we can see kind of what Natalie showed on the screen of kind of an example, right? We can put those all together and determine, hey, they're actually a market. They're not just interested in a piece of technology or a new topic that might be out there.
Within the account level that you showed for, I think it was like GDI technology, and it showed the vendors that have been most interested to that brand.
Yep.
Will it ever show why, VMware, Microsoft, Dell were of interest?
It could. I'm not going to say no to that.
Okay.
Is there any way, I think I know the answer, but we do a lot of geographic targeting, like last week, California market needed to turn something up really quick. Is there any way to capture that, or just because of the nature of the user community, is it just US? Like I saw you had US.
No, there's more than US. So this is for demonstration purposes. This is US right now, but this is a global tool. So
No, but I mean within the US.
Yeah,
So we'll be able to get down to different.
Yeah, there's region and state level in there.
Okay.
Yeah, but it does depend. I mean, it can go from account to account, especially accounts that want to show exactly sometimes where their offices are.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
So, and is that with the first release, or it's coming later? Oh, great.
Yes.
Thank you.
The intent categories, is that going to be always product-based, like service provider? Will you have something that will?
We could, if there's specific requests you have, let's talk afterwards. But yeah, so the intent that you saw kind of was the initial categories, and as we saw, earlier this morning, there's more categories that are coming, so that'll kind of expand as, the product comes to fruition, and you guys will kind of be able to pick and choose which intent categories really will fit your business.
Okay, great.
Hi, Matt.
Curious about scale of data. How much does your own sandbox provide enough data versus, say, going outside to third-party sources, like a Bombora, for example, has pixels on hundreds of sites. Just curious of your but you've got first-party data, which is extremely accurate. There's questions around third-party. Can you talk a little bit about that, if you're going to venture into other parties?
Yeah, so we have a global footprint. We're very confident with the scale of our footprint, but that's why, kind of as Natalie mentioned, with some of our validation studies of going external with our partners, with brands who we work with, to make sure that, hey, we're pulling in other people's data to do those validation studies, and we're not kind of within our own clean room. So that's something that we'll continue to do, but we're very confident with kind of the scale that we have within our first-party ecosystem.
Great questions. Keep them coming.
Hi. Regarding the intent, I'm curious if it's possible to do a mix and match. An example, laptop and desktop, or security, something like that.
Yes, that will be coming soon. I don't have an exact release for that, but yeah, that is a functionality we're looking at. We know the combination, especially when we think about peripheral technologies or technologies that are continuously kind of considered together, we want to make sure that we're able to kind of bring those two up, and so you can kind of see how they might relate.
All right.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys.
That concludes everything.